States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
First, we have to mention that the meeting is being video and audio taped, and ask if anybody in the audience is taping. If not, we'll go to minutes.
Mr. Chairman, I will make a motion that we approve the meeting minutes from April 4, 2015, as so written with one exemption, excuse me. And I will make a motion that we approve the meeting minutes from April 11, 2015, as so written.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Oh,
Yes. Aye,
one abstention.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion to approve the minutes from May 11th,
Those are signed.
May 26th, and May 28th as written.
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
You sign these, okay.
Yeah, you just have to hand them over.
Oh, you said sign?
No.
Okay. Go to old business.
I don't have any.
Mr. Nardi, nothing. Mr. Gagner?
Mr. Nardi will be bringing up the only thing I have shortly.
We can discuss it now, those boxes.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
yeah, I'm getting numerous complaints on the collection boxes over in West Warren. They seem to clean them up within 24 hours.
Right.
There's a bunch of trash there again. I do understand, my understanding, we need to get clarity on that, is that they are on private property. However, it is an eyesore, and it is causing undue stress to some of the people in town, which is in turn causing them to reach out to us, asking us to do something.
We are trying to get videos of the people that are dropping them off, and if we do get the videos, then we'll either try and press charges or see what we can do accordingly.
There is an investigation, folks. It is an eyesore. Boxes are meant for books and clothing. And as soon as it gets picked up, there's cushions and tables and things right back there. A weekly pickup is not gonna suffice. So if we get anybody to call us or report anything, we will act on this, because it's getting out of control.
Yeah, if anyone sees anything, whether it be in here, out there, and closer, I get TV laser.
Let us know.
Yeah, let us know, or just call 911. Get the plate number, let them know, this has to stop.
Okay, moving on. Comments and concerns. Does anybody like to address the board?
I have a question, Mr. Nardi. Last September, you started doing meetings with department heads.
Mhm.
How far have you gotten? How many department heads have you met with?
Well, me personally, meeting with them,
Yeah.
I've met with them at different times. Meeting the department head meetings that we were having, or the department heads, like individually?
Individual department heads.
Yeah, but all at the same time.
So in all essence, you met all of them more than one time.
Not all of them more than one time, but I've pretty much spoken with all of them, yes. And we've had 2 scheduled meetings with everybody here last fall.
Okay, my next question is, if you met with these people, have you done an evaluation on the department heads?
Have I done evaluation of the
Or has the
department?
board, or you, or whoever is taking responsibility?
I have not, and not that I'm aware of the board. We have conducted an evaluation of our staff. I have not completed Lorena's yet. It's been completed, but it hasn't been administered, but Mrs. Sarah's has been administered. So as far as our office is concerned, we have. The department heads are responsible for their own departments, but themselves, I would say that probably does fall on the board. In our bylaw, it states, I think it has to be done by December. I believe it says that, so I think that probably needs to be addressed. I mean, I'd like to see it be done, more towards the end of the fiscal year. But it does need to be done. This summer I was looking at trying to come up with a schedule. I mean, I'm trying to start with our office first, and hopefully that it breeds and spreads to the other departments to do the same, but we have to come up with some sort of a schedule, we do.
My concern is, my theme was accountability, brought that up to you a year ago. And if these department heads don't answer to you in writing or verbally, how do you hold them accountable for them performing in their jobs?
It's not easy. I mean, some of them are elected, some are appointed. It's difficult. This position here is pretty much, you're supposed to be the great facilitator. You're here to try and bring everybody together and get everybody to work for the greater good of the town. Doesn't always work that way, and sometimes people don't like to hear what you have to say regarding their performances, but it needs to be said. So with that being said, I agree with you that an evaluation process needs to be administered, but I've reached out to a few towns to see how they handle it, and they have different evaluations for every different department. So you gotta look at them individually before you move forward. You can't just take a standardized form and say, hey, it's for everybody. You can do it for a clerical worker, but not for, let's say, the treasurer's office or board of health or something like that. So each one's unique in its own. If I can work on it over the summer and try to get some schedule in place, I would think that would be a success right there. Because it's not easy.
No, but try to tie a couple together.
Right. We're starting with our office, and I'd like to start with department heads after that, and hopefully they will, administer that. I know the clerk's office contacted me about getting a clerical evaluation for her staff. Nancy reached out to me and I sent her mine, because she would like to evaluate her staff. So the departments are contacting us, or starting to, and seeing, what we're doing, so hopefully,
Well, let's take the highway superintendent.
Yep.
He has 4 people under him. Should he not be accountable for reviewing them?
he should, yes. I
And
agree.
why can you, as a board of selectmen, not tell him he has to do it?
Because he's an elected official.
You pay him.
It doesn't matter, he's still an
I-
elected official.
I'm gonna argue that
We
one.
can suggest, that's about the best we can do.
I'm gonna pursue that, because I'm gonna argue that
It
one.
is interesting to look at. I don't think we
Mhm.
can push the issue. If it was an appointed position, we have a little more power over that, and that's what we attempted to do the last 3 times. But as an elected, it's tough to administer those directives towards an
He's
elected
being
office.
paid by the tax dollars, is he not?
Correct, he's appointed by us too. We sign those appointment letters in June. So if that appointment letter wasn't signed, what happens then? That's the question I have. What if 3 board members never sign the appointment letter for an elected official? What happens then?
It's a good question.
I'm asking that question now. I am. No, I'm not asking it of you, but I put that question out to some council out in West Springfield to find out.
I think it needs to be answered.
What happens?
You're not gonna get accountability if you say, I can't do anything, because he's like, nope.
I agree.
It's just,
So if you go down and ask him to do it, and he says no, what do you do?
who
You
pays
can't
him?
fire him,
Who pays him?
you can't fire him.
I think the only alternative you
I-
have is, I'm sorry, is you follow it up with a letter, letter of concern, letter of reprimand, but then you have to make that public knowledge prior to elections that if that person's doing these things, we've had issues. I don't know where the time and place is to discuss these. They're personnel matters between that person and our board, so you're not really gonna share those letters with everybody, but there is issues with certain departments at times, we don't always agree, and accountability is key. The fish stinks from the head down, so it supposedly starts here. How do we administer that? And that's what I've been trying to figure out my first year. Rather than trying to get everybody to work together, and you want everybody to work together, but how do you actually administer directive to people who just sometimes don't wanna follow it?
So who would you go to get an answer?
I've reached out to council in West Springfield. I'm asking the questions now, just to see, not on our dime, but on, council in West Springfield resides in the offices where I work, so I've asked them some questions regarding this to see where what legal standing we have, what we can do. We don't have a town charter. Our bylaws are fairly dated at this point in time. They need to be updated. That would help us in the first place, is getting the bylaws updated. So, it's a process, Stanley, it is.
And to possibly look at a charter. Have it all in writing.
And I don't wanna hear the answers, everything takes time. Everything
No.
does take time, I know that,
It does take time, but you gotta put time into it, so it doesn't take as much time.
and you've been doing that.
You gotta commit,
Speaking
You've
of
been doing
time,
that.
you gotta commit to it.
speaking of time, we are on time restraint tonight, so I would suggest that we take this up again at the next meeting. We have to get to a town meeting tonight.
You have my 5 minutes, okay?
Thank
Continue.
you.
I really don't wanna cut you off, but we're trying to get to the town meeting in West Brookfield.
I will return.
Okay. Comments and concerns, we just did, we'll go to correspondence.
Mr. Chairman, we have correspondence from State Representative Todd Smola asking the board to look into a concern raised by a constituent relative to snow removal at the intersection of East Road and Sardi Road.
That, I spoke to Tom about, that evidently is a long-running complaint. The gentleman goes to Florida for the winter and he comes back, and as soon as he comes back, he's complaining about where they plow snow out of the end of the road. We don't really believe it's even on his property. We think it's still on town property, but Tom is aware of it, and he's gonna try and plow the other side, the other direction, if he can, so.
So, can I ask a question? Did this letter came to us, has Tom been made aware of this letter with Mr. Small?
No.
No?
But, excuse me, Mr. Chair, your permission, Mr. Boudreau has been made aware of the situation. So this is, the correspondence from Representative Smoller just arrived today. So he has not seen it, but
Okay.
he's fully versed on the problem.
And I will, try and reach out to Todd tomorrow, myself along with Tom, and let him be aware of what's going on.
Fire Chief Lavoie's Fire Department report for March and April of 2015. I'll run through it if you wish.
I'm sorry?
You want to run through it? Fire Department responded to 50 calls in the months of March and April of 2015. 2 investigations, 4 brush fires, 9 activated alarms, 10 investigations. Okay. 4 motor vehicle accidents, 3 service calls, 6 propane emergencies, 2 CO calls, carbon monoxide, 3 mutual aid, 2 for a building collapse, 1 for a landing zone, 2 medical assists, 2 illegal burns. And that's on the fire side. On the ambulance side, the ambulance responded to 65 calls in March and April of 2015, and 11 ALS intercepts were required. And inspections, there were 2 smoke CO inspections, 1 on oil burning equipment, and 57 brush permits were given out. In the month of March, all firefighters attended hazardous materials refresher training. This training outlined safety response procedures for different types of hazardous scenes. It was done over 2 different evenings and was a total of 8 hours of training. In April, we trained on brush fire procedures and response, as well as physical stamina drills at Quabog Regional High School. And budget, ALS line item is nearly depleted once again. He will more than likely request a transfer in May or June. He is monitoring all other line items closely, but at this time sees no major issues.
We're aware of that ALS item runs short almost every year. You know, you can never predict how many calls you're gonna have, so, I mean, Adam's done a pretty good job with it in managing the money, but it just seems to run short right towards the end every year, so, we understand that.
Okay, next would be the animal control officer.
Good evening.
Good evening. So we finally received a letter from the state in regards to what needs to be updated in the kennel, should we decide to continue to actually use my facility. The question now is basically, should we follow through with regionalization, go back and update the kennel, or go perhaps to WCA Wickabog and, well, I don't wanna say beg, but see if they wanna be nice to us and let us bring the dogs there. So that's basically where we are at the moment.
But from what I understand, when I read the letter, it says to stop using your facility.
Mm-hmm.
What can we do with the dogs in the meantime,
In the meantime,
until we set up something? We're looking at regionalization with Palmer.
the question should be brought up, I believe, to WCA Wickabog. They have so far been very good about allowing me to bring the dogs there and house them. It has also been very helpful in, well, at least for where. We haven't really had any dogs in Warren so far this year, thankfully.
Okay.
But the dogs in where people go to pick up their dogs, and they have to be given a slew of shots just to be accepted into the kennel area, plus there's a boarding fee, so naturally speaking, people do not want their dogs to end up back there again. So it's been quite beneficial, actually, to be very honest.
So the bottom line, and if you didn't want to add anything, but the bottom line to me is the state said you have to stop using your house.
Mm-hmm.
So in the meantime, you will have to take them to Wickabog until we get the regionalization set up?
Yes, if Wickabog will agree to it. At
Okay.
the moment, they are helping on a as-can basis.
Okay. So I would suggest you keep doing that until we get something else set up.
Okay.
Has there been a time when they could not, and what was done at that time?
They are fearing that with the warmer weather, that is going to be a, cannot period. They, have a boarding facility where they house other people's animals. It would, to them, be a loss of profit. So they are unsure whether or not they'll be able to house animals there during the warmer weather. Because of this, I'm not 100% certain where the dogs can go. I'm sure Palmer will be accepting in allowing us to bring the dogs there at just half an hour of driving there and back.
Have you reached out to any of the other facilities to say, are you available as a backup if this does happen?
Yes, other facilities will be willing with a, basically a written agreement from the town, so that way they can be compensated should no one show up to actually claim the dogs.
So I think we're in agreement that we wanna move forward with the regionalization, but it's gonna take 2 to 3 years.
Yeah.
The town's in no position to want to put money into your home on private
Mhm.
property, obviously, because it's
Fair
just
enough.
not good business practice for the town. We wanna make sure that the dogs are taken care of,
Mhm.
and if Wickabog can't, then we should be researching, other areas and getting costs together, so we can, if it's 2 to 3 years before the regionalization's gonna happen, we need to make sure your budget's suitable to meet the needs of, housing the animals at these other shelters,
Mhm.
if need be, so we just wanna make sure that they have a place to go. We don't wanna have the state come to your house again and shut you down and write another report or send something into us. We just wanna
Yep.
make sure that we're following protocol and what the state requires. But the board is in favor of the regionalization with Palmer right now. We have been in discussion with them. They're looking at property up on Old Warren Road, so we
Awesome.
really wanna move forward with that. But that's, like Loretta said earlier, it's about 2 to 3 years out, I would say.
Yeah, they're actually saying like 3 to 5, last I was at the
3 to 5.
meeting.
So we need
But-
semi-long-term plans there in the meantime to house
Yeah.
the animals and the cost factor, so.
Mhm.
And I think that's about it.
And I think in the meantime, we have to get, the papers you're talking about signed, so if you do have to take them to someplace else, that it can be done without delay. Because
Okay.
you can't put them in your house anymore.
No.
Okay?
Mr. Chair, with your permission?
Yes.
So again, so everybody's clear on this, you're not using your facility.
Correct.
You're going to attempt to use Wickabog.
Yes.
You will reach out to Wickabog.
Yes.
Yourself.
Yes.
And make the arrangements. Plan B, if Wickabog does not accept these animals, what's your plan? What's plan C?
Well, I can't make a written agreement with them. That is, I will speak to them and have them, figure out what X, Y, and Z is with their conditions and whatnot, but the town will have to write a letter.
I understand that.
Okay.
I need you to make that first contact though.
Well, yes.
Okay.
Palmer has suggested in the past that we use their facility back when the state first came and did the
Mhm.
inspection. Because of the biosecurity issues, they are more apt to, have us work with Palmer. And because Palmer agreed previously, I think, signing up with them would be beneficial.
Just so you're aware, our office is in the process of working with Pioneer Valley Planning Commission to draw up a memorandum of understanding between the town of Warren and the town of Palmer. Again, until that is in place,
Mhm.
this board needs to feel confident that these animals will be taken care of.
Okay, I'm not quite understanding, I'm sorry. Palmer has offered to allow us to use their facility.
Warren and Palmer are in the process of Pioneer Valley Planning Commission, okay? They're the
Okay.
ones doing the study.
The
For the
regionalization.
regionalization study. My conversation with Joshua Garcia, Pioneer Valley Commission, was that we are in an immediate need for sheltering.
Yes.
Okay, so he has actually extended his services to the town of Warren by preparing what they call a memorandum of understanding
Mhm.
between the town of Warren and the town of Palmer.
Oh, okay.
Okay?
Now I understand, yes.
Until that is in place,
Mm-hmm,
which could be a couple of weeks,
mm-hmm.
this board needs to understand what your plan is for any animals that need to be sheltered.
Okay.
So you've stated again, it's Wickabog.
Yes.
What's plan B after Wickabog?
Plan B would have been Palmer, but Palmer needs a written letter.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
and
now
we're
that you
just
know what we're talking about
running
in
in
Palmer,
circles.
what's the other plan? Are there
Well,
any other facilities that you're aware
Every
of?
other facility would need the same letter. It's basically, I
So,
took,
so whether we went to Palmer or we went to Ware or went somewhere else, we're gonna need this letter from.
exactly, because they need to have their backs covered, basically.
Okay.
Everyone is gonna
So
need
you
a
will take
letter.
care of providing the board with this letter, or the requirements, and the board will draft the letter.
Oh, yes,
Okay. I just wanted to make that clear, gentlemen.
That's fine.
Okay?
yep.
And that should be done unless you have something else?
No, I have nothing else.
Then we should be all set, thank you.
Awesome.
Thank you, Sarah.
No, what?
Oh, the treasurer warrants.
Oh, I never did.
Oh.
We're good, thanks.
Thanks.
So we'll move on to treasury warrant and business.
A motion that we approve the payroll warrant 100 in the amount of $37,266.98. And vendor 101 for $996,028.88, and I must abstain from the third.
Motion's been made, I'll second the motion on the first reading.
All those in favor?
Aye. I will make a motion, Mr. Chairman, that we pay payroll warrant number 102 in the amount of $1,450.
I'll second that one. All those in favor?
Aye.
One abstention?
Abstention.
Other business?
Nothing, we're going to the West Brookfield Town Meeting tonight, see what happens. See where we stand.
Dunkins and bring something in with you, sneak it in.
That's our plan tonight.
Yeah, and anybody that's, would like to go along. Next meeting date would be the 16th. We're going into summer session. It would be the 16th and the 30th. I will be holding office hours on the Wednesday after, which would be the 3rd and the 17th. And if there's nothing else, I'll wait a motion.
Second.
Motion
Motion, motion.
Second.
And I'll go to there.
Aye.